What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. And in today's video, we'll be going over file input/output in Python, particularly reading to and writing from files. Let's get right into it. So first, let's define reading from a file. So when we read from a file, we're just gathering all the contents from a file. So all the information, all the text that's in the file, we can store that and we can potentially use that in our program. And conversely, writing to a file, we're just putting content into a file. So if the file does not exist, we're creating a new file and we're putting whatever text that we want into that file. And if the file does already exist, we're just overriding the file. Okay, so let's start with opening a file. So to open a file, we're going to create a variable, and I'm going to call this variable file. And I'm going to set this equal to a method called open. And open is how we're always going to read and write to files, okay? So when I do open, and I just put the name of the file, for this I'm going to do foo.text, so it's going to be a text file. And what we're going to do here is, this is the next parameter. So the first parameter will be the name of the file. The second parameter will be the mode. So what does mode mean? Mode is reading to a file, it's writing to a file, it's doing both, it's appending. Right now, we're just going to do read and write. So those are the only modes that we're going to work with today, but there are plenty more that I'll link in the description. Okay, so the default mode is read. So the default mode will be R. That means read, R is read, and this is the default, so we actually don't have to put this here. And then the last parameter is buffer, which is an integer, and we will not be using buffer for this video, so we don't have to worry about that. So this is our standard syntax for opening a file. But before I read from a file, I want you to write to a file. So I'm actually going to change the mode here to W. W is write to a file. So I'm going to do file equals open foo.text. So that's the name of the file, and then the mode is write. Now, how do I write to a file? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the name of the variable file.write, and I'm going to put whatever string I want, and this is what's going to be represented in the file. So this is the content of the file now, and I'm just going to put this is a string. Actually, this is random text. I'm going to make a new line. I'm going to say this serves no purpose. And then I'm going to create another new line saying other than to teach. So if we were to open this file and take a look at this file, you'll have this is random text on one line, this serves no purpose on the next, and then other than to teach on the last line. So we just wrote to this file. Now what we have to do is we have to close the file. So this is very important because just know that you won't always want to close the file so that nothing weird or bad happens. So just close the file. So to do that, we just do file.close in parentheses, okay? So now ideally, we should have a new file on our system called foo.text, and it should have this text that I put here, okay? So this is not going to print anything in the console, but if I were to open my files, and there it is, foo.text, and here it is. This is random text that serves no purpose other than to teach. So that's 3 lines. It's exactly what I wrote in the write method, and so it works perfectly fine. So now let's try and read from this file. So I'm going to close this, and I have another file here, and this file is just going to read from the foo.text file. So again, I'm going to create a variable called file, and I'm going to set this equal to the open method, and then foo.text. Except this time the mode is read, and I don't have to put the R, but I'm just going to do it just to show you that this is how we define modes. So I'm putting R here for read, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do file. Instead of write, I'm going to do read, okay? And there are plenty of things I can do here. Right now, I'm just going to print file.read. So this is going to print all the contents of the file, and then of course I have to close the file. So let's try this. And it's going to print whatever is in the file. Now I can do a lot of different things here. I can choose how many bytes or how many characters I want to read from. So let's read from the first 7. I believe that should be this is, and it is. So all I did here, read takes a parameter. This parameter is the number of bytes that you want to read. So the number of characters. And so I just read 7 characters here. This space is, okay. So file.read 7. I can also do file.read line. So this will just read the first line. This is random text. Then I could do the next line, which is this serves no purpose, and I can just do the last line. This is other than to teach. Okay, so I just printed out 3 lines. If I wanted all the lines, I could do file.read lines. This returns a list of all the lines in the file. This is actually a very useful method. So I can just loop through all the lines in the file, and so it includes all the characters, including the /n. So you may or may not want that. Normally you wouldn't want that. So just know that it does include every single character, including the next line. Okay, so that's how we read from a file. So we can choose to read all the contents of a file, some of the content. We can read a single line, we can read all the lines. These are very useful methods when you're working with text files. So this is not actually the proper way that we want to read and write to and from files. We actually want to use this with statement so that we can automatically and inherently close files without having to do it ourselves, okay? So what I mean by this is if I do with open foo.text, and then let's just do r as f. So as this is like a variable name. So this is the same thing as let's actually do as file. And then we can do print file.read lines. Okay, so this statement here with open foo.text r as file, print file.read lines, this is the exact same thing as these first 3 lines here, except when we use the with statement, we automatically close the file. So we don't have to worry about putting file.close. And that is very convenient because sometimes you may forget and it could cause problems. So it's better to just do this syntax. It's shorter and it's better in terms of not having to worry about manually closing a file. So this is how we prefer to do it. I will show you that it does the exact same thing. They both print out all the lines in a list. So this is how you would like to open files, read from files, write your files, just like this. All right, so that will do it for this video. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take it easy.